videos, we've talked about one-way and two-way analysis of variance. In other words, how does one factor or two factors affect something that we're measuring? Well, you can do in Excel those one-way and two-way analysis of variances very easily from the data analysis add-in. But what happens if you have three or more factors? Well, there are ways to do this in Excel that a lot of quality control books, and my favorite book is this one, Douglas Montgomery, Introduction to Statistical Quality Control. Okay, he's got a lot of discussion on how to do, let's say, a three-way ANOVA, four-way ANOVA. Usually you have two levels of the factor, so that's called the 2 to the k design. Because you have two levels basically of k factors. So here we'll do a 2 to the third design, where we've got three factors: feed rate, depth of cut, and angle. And we're trying to understand how these factors cause surface finish. At a lower surface finish, it turns out to be better. So what you do is you usually use two levels of each factor, low and high, to understand what's going on. Or you could use three levels, low, medium, and high. That gets a bit more complicated. But a -1 will mean the low level of the factor. A is feed rate, B is depth of cut, C is angle. And a +1 will mean a high level of the factor. So here you see the 8 possible combinations where you pair every value of -1 or +1 with A, same with B, same with C. There's 2 to the third possibilities. And you measure the surface finish. And here we did it twice. Okay. And so basically we could use multiple regression, which we've studied, to predict the surface finish. You don't want to just use the A, B, and C values, okay? You want to talk about interactions. In other words, the effect of the feed rate may depend on the depth of the cut, etc. That's a two-way interaction. And you might even look at a three-way interaction, okay? Like the effect of the two-way, the value of the two-way interaction may depend on the value of the third factor. Okay, so how did we handle interactions? We had a video on this earlier in this lesson. You multiply the values of the variables creating the interaction. So the A-B interaction would be you take the A column times the B column. The AC interaction, you take the A column times the C column. The BC interaction, you take the B column times the C column. And then the ABC, you multiply all three. So these would be our values of X, our independence, and this would be our dependent. So we run the regression, we know how that works. Predict the yellow from the red, and here's what we get. R squared of 79%. Okay, now we look at the p-values to see what's important. So A is important, low p-value, 2 in 1,000. B is important, 0.07. A-B interaction is borderline, 0.12. We'll leave that in. Nothing else seems to be important. So we would rerun our model, dropping all the non-significant variables, and just run it with A-B and the A-B interaction, and here's what we get. Okay, so in other words, I've got the A-B and the A-B column, so these would be my X's. And here's my Y. So I run the regression. Now the R squared, the adjusted R squared went, the regular R squared went from 0.68, okay, went from 0.79 to 0.6. Now adjusted R squared is adjusted for the number of independent variables. That almost stayed the same, 0.606, 0.605. I mean, so we threw out variables that really didn't matter. So here we've got really good significance. We've got a 0.1 for the interaction, don't leave it out, 0.05 for factor B, and a 0.01 in 10,000 for factor A. So this would be the equation we would use to predict the surface finish. Okay. So now the question is, we want the lowest possible surface, and we could look at do we have normal error terms? We should check that because that's an important assumption. So we could look at the skewness here. That should be near 0 if we have normal. See, I made Excel print out the residuals. That's an option. Okay, so the skewness is near 0. Kurtosis between -1 and +1 indicates normal. We're not too far away from that. If I got a kurtosis like of 7 or 8 or -7 or -8, then I would worry these residuals are not normal. So the residuals are the actual minus the predicted from this equation. So now, which level of the factors, the C doesn't really matter here. Again, C was the angle. So the feed rate and depth of cut, should we do low or high? Well, I tried all four combinations, +1s both, -1s both, 1 + 1, the other -1. And then I put the coefficient. The coefficient of A is right here. The coefficient of B is right here. The coefficient of AB is right here, and the constant is here. And then the forecast, I would just take the constant plus sum of product these weights times what we have for A, B, and the A-B interaction. And then the lowest and it's not obvious what the lowest forecast is. So in other words, here you can see these positive coefficients mean low A and low B will give low surface finish. But then the interaction means if they're both low, then the interaction is -1 times -1. This would bump up your forecast. So it's not obvious what to do. Okay, but we try all 4 combinations, and low A and low B will give a lower prediction for surface finish than if we have a low A and a high B, although it's very close because this interaction term, see, basically here it's going to be knock down the forecast by a bit, but then we lose something right here. Okay, and so it turns out you should have both A and B at the low level. C doesn't really matter. Low feed rate, low depth of cut will give you the lowest surface finish. And that's basically these factorial designs, as they're called, basically are used a lot in manufacturing to try and figure out how to optimize a manufacturing process. And multiple regression makes it pretty easy to do.
Okay, so thanks for watching, and there's a free course, a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, and all of these videos are coming from one of 3 books. So first, this one, which you can see here at the top of the screen, Microsoft's book, which has 355 reviews, and then it's, let's see, 4.6 stars. It's coming from this book as well, his marketing analytics book, which is down here, and you can sort of see 4.5, or his newest book, his analytic stories book, which is here. And with that one, you can see it's 4 point something, or maybe even 5. I don't think it's 5. Yeah, 4.8. And so, yeah, anyways, in the description, there's a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, or you can go to excelwithwayne.com/free, and it'll be there. But again, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just please let us know. Thanks.